It is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 26, Text 5, that Pitraloka is located between the Garbhodak ocean and Patalaloka. So the Garbhodak ocean fills up half the universe, and then the other half of the universe is the 14 planetary systems. So Pitraloka is below the lowest of the 14 planetary systems, but above the Garbhodak ocean. This is near to where the hellish planets are located. The passing of time there is like that of the moon, though the arrangement of days and nights is opposite. Days and nights are opposite what we experience. This can be seen in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.22.5 and 0.9, wherein day and night there is measured according to the waxing and waning of the moon. But the moon is considered to be higher than the earth, whereas Pitraloka is lower than the earth according to the vertical layout given in the Puranas. The vertical layout in the Puranas, lower and middle and upper planetary systems, the vertical layout of the Puranas. So the moon is higher and Pitraloka is lower. The moon is part of Devaloka, the planet of the Devas, the realm of the Devas, which is obtained via the northern path of the sun, whereas Pitraloka is obtained by the southern path of the sun. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Paragraph. Both Yamaraj and Aryama are associated with Pitraloka. Yamaraj is described as being the king of Pitraloka. Bhagavatam 5.26.6. Those who live in Pitraloka are generally fruitive workers who have been elevated to that place because of pious activities. Additionally, they need male descendants to continue the regular offerings so that they can survive there nicely. If all goes well, when their time is up, they return to their own dynasty. If things do not go well, that is, if the offerings cease, they will become tormented and unhappy with impious people. After some time, when they are disfigured by suffering, Yamaraj feels compassionate for them, and they may be given posts as Yamadutas. As they are suffering because their descendants gave up Dharma, they are very keen to arrest sinful people. Paragraph. The attachment of these inhabitants to the Karmakanda rituals and proper performance of duties can be seen in their prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. Canto 7, Chapter 8. Chapter 8 of Canto 7 is prayers by the demigods to Lord Nrsingadev. So the Pitris offer prayers. Text 44. They first glorify the Lord as the maintainer of religious principles, and then say how Hiranyakashipu stole and enjoyed the offerings of the Shraddha ceremonies. So he got his deserve. This is after he was killed. So there's something more than what we knew the other day about what's Pitraloka. And there's some other things that I wouldn't repeat because it's all over the place and doesn't seem to be quite so authoritative. This is very authoritative, Bhagavatam. Okay, now about mothers. Honoring our mothers. Now the previous 2 evenings we discussed chapter 9 summary, Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 and Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. So there's reference directly in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 about mothers. And in case you don't remember, the context was Krishna was saying that, well, chapter 9 is about devotional service. The most confidential knowledge is whoever accepts some form and worships that form, if they don't have proper understanding, they worship that form that is meant for worship of me. And so they're worshiping me indirectly. He speaks of the worshippers of the devas. He also speaks of the worshippers of the highest of the 3 is the worshippers of the Virat Rup. And then at the bottom is Ekat Vena, those who worship themselves as being the supreme. Interesting type of worship. Krishna does that, by the way. But he's the supreme. When he rises in the morning, it's described in the 10th canto Bhagavatam. He's, doing his program of not pretending to sleep, but a pastime of nidra, yoga nidra, and the roosters crow. And so he rises and he gets up and does his morning duties, which is to meditate upon the Supreme, who is himself. So ahangra upasana, aham, angra upasana, ahangra upasana. So those that are Mayavadis, they imitate Krishna, they worship, they meditate upon themselves. Ekat Vena, described directly by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And it's in a very, very broad and very liberal manner, Krishna says, they're my devotees too. Just done in the wrong way. Avidhi purvakam. Vid, without knowledge. So, in that section where Krishna is saying they're worshipping indirectly, he then starts describing how he is this and he is that, and I am the offering, and I am the sacred fire, and I am the... So he also says, I am the father of the universe, the mother and the grandsire. Here's the...
I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire.
So...
You want to connect?
No, that's it. There's one more, but it doesn't have sound connected. So, he's the father of the universe, the mother, of course, the mother of the universe, that's Prakriti. He is Prakriti, he's the grandsire. So here the image is showing Rama Devi, who's at the feet of Lord Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and the grandsire, that's Brahma, the generator or the architect the engineer, rather, of the universe. And then in chapter 10, yesterday evening, we made a chapter summary of chapter 10 Bhagavad Gita. And in that chapter, it's Vibhuti Yoga. This is just review to connect with what we're doing tonight. Vibhuti Yoga means the opulences or vibhutis of Krishna, and he gives a long list. When asked by Arjuna, can you describe your opulences through which we can always remember you in this world? And so he gives the feminine opulence, because everything is within Krishna, including the opulences of feminine nature. So
the mother,
this is, among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So those of you that are women, this is a good standard to live up to. Fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Now, directly to the mothers that we're aware of, just some persons making some statements in American history, at least. Abraham Lincoln is an important personality. And all that I am or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. The role of motherhood is very significant in Vedic culture. We know from Bhagavad Gita how important Arjuna considered the function of the female population and the necessity of having the female population properly respected and properly protected and properly regarded, because if not, it brings ruination. And if it's in place in the proper manner, it brings elevation. There's a famous saying from a European fellow, William Ross Wallace, that's his picture. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Same idea. Ladies, have you heard that one before? It's a good one too. Remember and be inspired by. Because largely, certainly not entirely, but largely, the capacity, the character, the qualities of mother are naturally passed on to the child, even before birth. Whatever are the fears and the character and qualities of the mother just biologically, naturally get passed on to the child. Therefore, so many things are said about during pregnancy, women should not be in any situation of distress. Of course, it's a distressful world that we live in. And any sudden shock or fear, specifically in the pastime of Bharat, when the deer heard the sudden roar of the lion, she was panic-stricken, and immediately there was a miscarriage. The little fawn was born untimely. So Prabhupada comments, women should be spared from such things as far as possible. And then after the child is born, there's the rocking the cradle, the care, the affection. That it's not that a young child, boy or girl, doesn't require the presence of a father figure in their life. That's also totally essential. But the influence of mother upon the character and development of the child is especially important. So I've had this recited to me a number of times, particularly by Western-born mothers. They're very happy to rule the world. as they rock the cradle. Faust, an important Western European author, the influence of a mother in the lives of her children is beyond calculation, etc. Many other Mother's Day type of appreciations have been made, not just Mother's Day, but appreciation of mothers, the role of motherhood. And for our lives, the principle of all is Mother Yasoda. As Krishna Bhaktas, at least, Mother Yasoda is the mother of Krishna. She's eternally the mother of Krishna. It's not a post, and you can, if you're really fortunate, you can become Mother Yasoda. That she's in a different category. Shakti Tattva. She's not a living entity. She's the Lord's spiritual potency. And she has this service of being Krishna's mother. And a nice passage where Queen Kunti is appreciating the intimacy, the very, very, very special position that Mother Yasoda has. She speaks this way: seeing the rope in the hands of Mother Yashoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep, just like a child, and tears rolled down his cheeks, washing the black ointment smeared about his beautiful eyes. He is feared often by fear personified, yet he is afraid of his mother, who wanted to punish him just in an ordinary manner. So who can discipline Krishna? Who can control Krishna? One of the very special features of this pastime, the Damodar pastime, it's so special. For a whole month we sing the song, we glorify, we offer lamps to Krishna and Mother Yasoda, because she's able to control Krishna or bind Krishna. And our understanding is she binds Krishna with her love, not with the rope, because the rope didn't do it, but her love did. There's a very nice description. I like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our great acharyas, explains why Mother Yasoda was unable to bind Krishna, and then why Mother Yasoda was able to bind Krishna in sequence. So, by material calculation, what can go around the waist of Krishna? Because she already saw, by looking inside Krishna's mouth, the entire cosmic manifestation. So what length of rope do you need to go around that which contains the entire cosmic manifestation? Jiva Goswami writes his commentary, because she was the wife of Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cowherds. She had access to all the rope in the whole of Braja. And she went to the storerooms of the different queens or ladies that had ropes in their storerooms and gathered the storeroom ropes, and rope after rope after rope, and tied them all together, and it was still always only 2 inches too short. And she was puzzled, why is it always only 2 inches? It could be something else, but why always 2 inches? And the other gopis, they said, don't you understand, it's just not meant to be. This morning you had a little string, and you tied that little string around Krishna's waist with a little ring, and it went around his waist very easily, and now you're trying with his ropes, and it's not going around his waist, so why don't you just accept it? Not meant to happen. And she responded by saying, no, I'm his mother. And it's the duty of the mother. I don't mind that Krishna ate butter and yogurt. Nanda Maharaj has so much. I don't mind that he broke the pot, but he stole. And if a mother allows her son to steal, then what happens when he grows up? So it has to happen now. I have to discipline him. That was her affection. But Vishwanath says he was unable because as much as she was endeavoring, so endeavor is something that must be there in devotional service. She was endeavoring, but Krishna was exhibiting two of his potencies, his Swarup Shakti and his Icha Shakti. Satya Sankalpa Shakti, there we go. Satya Sankalpa Shakti and his Icha Shakti. These potencies can't be surpassed by anybody. So she was endeavoring, but there was a wall, Krishna's potency. But when she continued, despite that, Krishna wanted to go and play with the monkeys and the other cowherd boys, and he didn't want to be bound up by a rope. No way. So it didn't happen. But when she continued with such devotion and love, he withdrew those potencies and then exhibited his Kripa Shakti, his mercy potency. And therefore, Vishwanath says, the significance of these 2 inches is these 2 things in devotional service are needed. It's nice to remember. Our effort, our endeavor, and Krishna's mercy. Jimmy shared something with us yesterday I hadn't heard before. His mother said, to produce a child, how many persons must be involved? Normally people will say 2, mother and father, and Jimmy's mother said 3, mother, father, and God. Because without Krishna's mercy, mother and father aren't going to produce children. A mother isn't going to produce children, a father isn't going to produce children, and together they're not going to produce children without the mercy of Krishna. So, therefore, I'm the creator of this universe, the mother and the grandsire. Mother Jasoda's affection, now it's Nitya Leela, she's eternally situated this way, and she has this privilege of seating little child Krishna on her lap and feeding little child Krishna. You guys see mothers and fathers do this with their children. It seems like sometimes when the child should be able to take care of feeding themselves, but the child likes and the parents like, and so it goes on, even when the child is a little bigger. But that natural affection between parent and their child and their parent, natural, it has its origin in the original affection of Mother Yasoda. And similarly, Mother Sachi had similar facility. Mother Sachi, the mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was a small boy, Nimai Pandit. So they're actually of the same bhava or the same nature, the same personality, but forms of the Lord with slightly different lila. And of course, Queen Kunti, her relationship as mother was different. They're all different. In different ways they're different. But she was the sister of Krishna's father. Krishna's father was Vasudeva, and Kunti and Vasudeva were brother and sister. So she saw Krishna as, well, Krishna saw her as mother, but Kunti saw Krishna as super soul. So she was very comfortable. Hard to imagine. She was very comfortable seeing Krishna as super soul moving amongst us, a perambulatory super soul. But she was very uncomfortable when Krishna would come before her, and to offer respect, he would touch her feet and fold his palms and offer words of appreciation and respect. She was very uncomfortable with that, because she saw him as the supreme person. She was very clear. She wasn't at all unclear. No fuzzy conception. Very clear. So it was difficult for her. But way beyond difficult was she couldn't understand Mother Jasoda's position at all. She knew of Mother Jasoda's position. She couldn't understand her position, because it's in a dimension of love where the divinity of Krishna was just unrecognizable by Mother Jasoda, although he showed it many times, killing of the demons and lifting Govardhan Hill and doing things that only the personality of Godhead can do, showing him the universal form within his mouth, etc. But her love was so strong, the intimacy of her love was so strong, she couldn't. I must be seeing things, I better go lie down. Better go see a doctor. Something's wrong. Motherhood, a nice statement, Srila Prabhupada speaking from Queen Kunti's prayers. Even in this material world, there is no comparison to a mother's love. For a mother loves her child without any expectation of return. Of course, some mothers do have an expectation that leads to a problem. But it's natural for a mother, just like this image of it's pouring rain, somewhere it looks like South India, and the little child has the umbrella, not her. They don't share the umbrella, this little child has the umbrella. Or another image where it's flooded and the mother's whole thing is just making sure the child is safe. In our contemporary culture, there's a lot of appreciation for Mother Teresa. Here's one quote from her, of many. "If you want to bring happiness to the whole world, go home and love your family." Now she's a nun, where she doesn't have family, but her whole family is the whole world. And on the occasion of her decease, we had a function at the Chicago Temple. And I didn't know this until we announced the function, that the local government officer, I forget what his title is, something, like under the mayor, in charge of a district, not councilman, alderman, that's the title in Chicago. So Joe Moore is the alderman for the area where our temple is. So he requested the opportunity to speak something about Mother Teresa, because he was a Mother Teresa fan. And he described he had been to visit her in her place in Calcutta several times. And he was so amazed at not the opulence of what she was doing, but the dedication of what she was doing. And so he offered her, he wanted to give her something. You know how people are, they're not just something for the orphans, but something for her. Here's something for the orphans, and here's something for you. And she said, she looked at the offering with some funds, and she said, when I look at these funds, I just think of how many blankets, or how many meals, or how many opportunities for medicine this represents. So I can't accept for myself. Just her motherhood was like that. And not to say there aren't others that have that capacity. Mothers naturally have that capacity. I won't name some names, but I see some mothers in this community that they're just looking after everybody. You know, and I'm a sannyasi, and you know, I have too many mothers. Everybody wants to do something. So here's another image of a female monkey, one of the little monkeys that are part of her litter or batch or whatever it's called, was out in the middle of the street, and to save the little monkey, she put herself at risk, and everyone else is standing off in respect. They don't want to mess with Mother Monkey. I had this experience once. I was visiting a home in upstate New York, and the family was into taking care of animals, animal husbandry, it's called in the West. They had a pen that had a goat and a this and a that, and they had a little pond in the back, and so it was just sitting out in the back with them, having conversation. And I took a little stroll over by the pond after our conversation, and that was a mistake because there was a mother duck. And when I got too close to the little ducklings, the mother duck let me know. She stood real tall. She stuck her tongue out like this, made some sound, and started charging at me like a bull. And I ran. And I ran and ran and ran, and got to the steps, went up 3 steps, and stood there and looked down, and she went like this, and don't get near my little ducklings. And this recently happened in the media. Somebody got in a golf course, got too near where there was a mother goose. He wasn't, involved, and the mother goose came and attacked him. So it's natural. They don't have to go to mother school. All the species. There's this nice description about Lord Nrsimhadev. Although he was so fierce, roaring so loud and gnashing in teeth and all those things, and the demigods were afraid, even the goddess of fortune was afraid, but Prahlad was not afraid. And Vishwanath says, for like these images, for the lioness, their little cubs, they play with the mother. They're not afraid. But the beasts of prey, they're very afraid. When the lion roars, look out. And it's true with all species of life. So, just a few more things and we'll finish. The Vedic wisdom teaches us that there's 7 mothers. We're going to go through them one by one. Atma, Mata, that's your own mother. And Guru, Patni, the wife of the Guru. And Brahmani, the third one, is the wife of a Brahmana. And Raja Patnika, this is Chanukya Pandit, the wife of the king. And the cow, Denu, and Dhatri, the nurse, and Prithvi, the earth. These are the 7. These are the 7 mothers of a man from his Chanukya Pandit slokas. So we'll just go through them and appreciate our 7 mothers. One's own mother, naturally, that's very easy to understand. The wife of Guru. Now, if the Guru is sannyasi, then doesn't have a wife. But if this Guru has a wife, she's to be treated as mother in this very special way. The wife of a Brahmana, as much as the Brahmana is to be respected, we find this in chapter 7 of Canto 1, where Kripi, Draupadi is arguing on religious principle that Kripi is to be honored as much as Kripacharya. And Kripacharya, anyway, because Brahmanas are dear to Krishna, and Kripacharya is a Brahmana, and Kripi, the wife of Drona, is to be honored as much as Drona is to be honored, and Kripacharya is to be honored. The wife of a king. So there's 4. And a cow. Now, very, very special in Vedic culture is the position of a cow, as you see from this illustration. Within the different parts of the body of a cow, all the demigods reside. And the residential place of the demigods is sacred, very special. A nurse, rendering all kinds of service in difficult circumstances, and her happiness is doing that service of being a nurse. And we receive so much benefit from those who take that position. And the cow, this is Prabhupada speaking on this Niti Shastra point, cow is therefore considered mother because one mother has given birth to the child, another mother is supplying milk. So everyone should be obliged to Mother Cow because she is supplying milk. Well, she's supplying milk, and from milk, so many milk products. I'm going to go over here a little bit. I just learned some things from an Ayurvedic doctor that I visited recently, and she said, it's an American lady that studied under Dr. Mishra, now deceased, just 2 years ago, left this world, but was a renowned world-traveling Ayurvedic doctor. Her message is from the Ayurveda. She says from the ancients, from the Ayurveda, milk is necessary, and not only milk is necessary each day, but at each meal, because it helps assimilate the good diet that you're following. And then there's ways to take that milk product in such a way that it's assimilated at the cell level, and there's a science to it, etc., etc., etc. She goes through this whole thing about, in the West, people run me out of town because I say milk, and people say, boo, in different ways. The Ahimsa people say boo, and the other peoples, they say there's fats and things you shouldn't have in milk and so on. Without all the Ayurvedic detail, it's essential. It's very, very similar to what Prabhupada said, like, rich in vitamins and nutritious food, but it's essential for health. It's not just, you can live on milk alone, but it's essential. If you don't live on milk alone, it's essential to have some dairy, ghee, milk taken in a certain way and not some other way, and a certain type of milk, not some other type of milk. And so you have to know what you're doing, but it's nourishing. And Mother Earth, here's Prabhupada speaking about Mother Earth. Denur Datri Tata Prithvi. Prithvi is mother, and practically we see she is giving. The Mother Earth is giving birth to so many varieties of children. 8,400,000. You practically see grass to the highest form of life. They are coming from Earth, living at the cost of the Earth. The Earth is supplying food grains, Vegetables. So these are our 7 mothers. And on Mother's Day we're honoring all 7, not just one. There are modern people that speak like this. Mother is a verb in addition to a noun. It's something you do, not just who you are. So that's why I'm from my sandals, my vantage point, there's so many mothers out there. And we should be grateful and respectful. So we're honoring mothers today. Srimati Radharani. This is from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. That's Gopakumar pictured on the left. And Radharani is helping Gopakumar to make an arrangement to return back home to the spiritual world. And those who are assisting Srimati Radharani, they're assisting her specifically because when we say our Prema Dhwani prayers, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Oh, who is Bhakti Devi? She's an expansion of Radharani. And it's through Bhakti Devi we have access to Bhakti. It's through the mercy of Radharani that we have access to devotional service to Krishna. That's our mantra. Hare is the vocative of calling Hara, oh energy of Krishna, Hara. And it's significant. It's very significant. It could be, our mantra could be Radhe Krishna, 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 Radhe Radhe. That's not what it is. It's Hare Krishna. It's the same, but it's an aspect of Radha as Hara. And just as Hari, he takes away all that is inauspicious. Hara also. That's the meaning, the etymological meaning. There are things in our heart that don't belong there. And she's very merciful. She overlooks those things, helps us to remove those things, and nonetheless engages us in Krishna's service. To whatever degree we're able to engage in Krishna's service, it's by her mercy. The Lord is careful about his devotee, just as a mother is always careful about her little child, who is completely dependent on her care. So this is Mukunda Bala Stotra. Prabhupada's also honoring mothers and likening Krishna's care for his devotees like a mother is for the child. So I'm preparing already for the Festival of the Holy Name, which is taking place in Chicago or the 4th of July weekend. Actually, 4th of July comes out on Wednesday, so it's going to be the weekend before the 4th of July. But Festival of the Holy Name. And the theme of the second class is this one. And it goes like this, just, in short. In addition to the process of chanting, which we're taking access to, A or B, is the process the merciful entity, or is it the person who has given us the process that's the merciful entity? Certainly we can pray to Krishna as the holy name, because the name of Krishna is not different than Krishna. But then there's the person who is the giver of the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. We pray to him. We pray to the giver of the name, Lord Chaitanya, and our spiritual masters who have given us this access to the chanting of the holy name. And staying connected to the person, the name as a person, and the giver of the name as a person, helps us to stay fixed in alignment with the activity, the quote, process. In other words, say it the other way, one of the most common things I hear from people about chanting is that it's mechanical. And they're distracted because it's mechanical. And how do I get on the other side of mechanical and distracted chanting? So this is the topic. We're dependent upon Krishna to get beyond mechanical. Anyone that tries will get that realization. I can't do this alone. So praying, feeling oneself dependent upon and looking to the same message as Mother Jasoda, being able to find Krishna because of Krishna's Kripa Shakti. Without Krishna's Kripa Shakti, if we're not looking for Krishna's Kripa Shakti, he's not going to disturb us. He won't interfere with our free will. But if we're sincerely wanting his mercy, then we're more likely to get it. Seek and ye shall find, is the biblical saying. So, I'm going to end with now just we'll go a little bit further with mothers. And I want to speak a little bit about Mother Sita. And something that I very much appreciated when I was preparing for the Ayodhya Yatra was, why did Janaka, the father of Sita, arrange this mission impossible practically, feat of breaking the bow of Lord Shiva, stringing and bending and stringing the bow of Lord Shiva? Wasn't required to break it, but just to bend it and string it. So the bow, there's different versions of Ramayana. I'm going to refer to 4 of them, besides Valmiki Ramayana, that have been referred to by our Vaishnava Acharyas. That's something else I learned. Valmiki Ramayana is authentic, and there are other versions of Ramayana that are also authentic. I'll just give one example. One example is, in Valmiki Ramayana, there's no mention of Lord Ram worshipping Lord Shiva when he returned from Lanka. Lord Ram was feeling heaviness. I've killed the Brahmana. Because Ravana was born in a Brahmana family. He was born from an exalted Brahmana. He became other than Brahmana, but that was his birth. So after killing Ravana, he wanted to atone for his birth. So some of the Ramayanas speak of then worshipping Lord Shiva to atone. There's many things that are said about, Hanuman going to get Shivalinga, but it was past the time, and so Sita, with her own hand, fashioned a linga from the sand, and that's what he worshipped, and so on. None of that is in Valmiki Ramayana. But Lord Chaitanya, when he traveled in South India, he visited Rameshwaram. He visited that place. So though it's not in Valmiki Ramayana, we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted and worshipped in that place. So, when Janaka, so the question is, why did Janaka make this mission impossible? So the different versions of Ramayana, it took 300 men to bring the bow of Lord Shiva on a cart with 30 wheels. It was a heavy bow, and no one could lift it. So why did he make mission impossible for someone, a king, to lift and string the bow? Because it takes 300 men to wheel it in a cart. So that means Sita's never going to get married. Why did he do that? And the different Ramayanas described like this. One says, one day, Sita and Urmila and some friends, they were playing in the garden. with a ball. And the ball started rolling, and the ball rolled into this place where the bow was kept. And Sita, being very enthusiastic, she just picked up the bow and got the ball and put the bow back in place and went back out with the other girls. And the other girls were astonished. They told Janak, "Do you know what Sita just did?" Then another version is, in the garden, they were gathering very fragrant flowers. And Sita saw some very special, bright-colored, beautiful flowers high in a tree. So they were looking for something to reach to get the flowers. And she got this idea, and she ran and got the bow, lifted up the bow, and got the flowers out of the bottom of the tree, at the top of the tree, and took the bow back and put it in the box. And the people who saw, they were astonished. And they informed King Janak. And King Janak was thinking, well, I can't have a man marry Sita that's less than Sita. Then another version says, Janak wanted to train Sita in humility. So one of the things he had her do was take a service of doing some cleaning in the palace. And one of the areas that she had to regularly clean was where the bow of Lord Shiva was kept. So she would clean all the area, and to be very, very careful, she lifted the bow with one hand and cleaned underneath the bow with the other hand, very gently put it down, and went on and cleaned the rest of the room. So he could then understand, I can't have Sita marry somebody that can't lift the bow. She would then be, greater than her husband. We can't have that. So her husband has to at least be able to do what the wife can do, physical strength-wise. And then the fourth version says that Narada said to King Janak privately, your daughter is the goddess of fortune Lakshmi, so she should only marry Lord Vishnu. So you should make an arrangement so that only Lord Vishnu will marry your daughter. And so he figured, this is it. Lift and string the bow. So Mother Sita had that special privilege of being at the same time the goddess of fortune and the consort of Lord Ram. And now, last, but certainly not least, so this is a quiz question. Other than Mother Jasoda, in all of Vrindavan, who else is there that everyone in Vrindavan considered to be mother? Here's the question again. Mother Jasoda, of course, was Krishna's mother, but Mother Jasoda was elder and the wife of the king, Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cowherds. So she was respected as one of the mothers for everybody in Vrindavan. But there's another mother in Vrindavan that everyone respected as mother. Purnamasi. So, who was Purnamasi? She was the mother of Sandipani Muni and the grandmother of Madhumangal. Means Madhumangal was the son of Sandipani Muni. And she came to Vrindavan just before Krishna's birth. She knew, because she's the Yoga Maya potency personified. And she made all arrangements for Krishna's activities. So when she came to Vrindavan, who was she? No one saw her before. But just her presence was such that everyone understood. She's a very special personality and a Brahmani. And so they were very respectful. There's a couple of pastimes, Vrindavan pastimes, related to Purnamasi, and I'll share, and then we're done. there was a little explanation given by, well, Srimati Radharani. Her so-called husband, we say so-called because who can be married to Radharani but Krishna? Her so-called husband was Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu one time went to Purnamasi and said, there's all these different stories of Krishna messing with my wife, Radha. So I'd like your permission to leave Vrindavan, go somewhere else, so that we won't have this disturbance. Because he wouldn't do it without Purnamasi's permission. And she said, I think that's a very bad idea. And he said, well, I have another idea. Then the other idea is, I'd like to have Radharani worship Gauri, because I hear that Chandravali worships Gauri, and her husband has become very rich. And so, may I have your permission to have, because they would seek her guidance. She was like the guru of the whole of Vrindavan. Nothing happened without her sanction. So Purnamasi said, that's a very good idea. Have her worship Gauri. And so on a regular basis, Radharani would go to worship Gauri. And Krishna got the idea that he would stand in the place of the Gauri deity and receive the worship of Radha. And one day when Radha was going to worship Gauri, Krishna was standing and blocked Radha's path to get to Gauri, to her worship. And Radha was being, argumentative. This Gauri deity is part of the Govardhan Parikrama path. You have to have a guide to take you there, but it's one of the places around Govardhan Hill. And so some argument between Krishna and Radha. Krishna was blocking her, give me the flowers, this is meant for me. Get out of my way. I'm going to go worship Gauri. So Krishna then took the place of Gauri deity, stood and took the crown and the garments of Gauri and stood in front so that Krishna was being worshipped. And Abhimanyu was told by Jatila, I think this is a rendezvous place. Radha is going to meet Krishna, not to worship Gauri. And so Abhimanyu went running and running and running to go to the Gauri temple and catch Radha meeting Krishna instead of worshipping Gauri. And he came before the deity and he offered his obeisances to the deity. The deity was so beautiful because it was Krishna with golden complexion instead of dark complexion, sham complexion. And there's different versions from that point forward, but Abhimanyu was then praying to Gauri, I want to leave Vrindavan because Radha is having this difficulty with Krishna. And then the Gauri deity spoke and said, if you leave Vrindavan, you will die at once. Your head will be chopped into pieces and you'll die at once. No. What do I have to do? He said, you just promise me that you'll never leave Vrindavan and you'll stop these, listening to these rumors of Krishna and Radha meeting. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. So, something like that. All by Purnamasi's arrangement. So, there's another in this book. there's a book of the different devis or the goddesses that are worshipped, and there's this nice story that's connected to Purnamasi from Jiva Goswami, a book that Jiva Goswami wrote. Jiva Goswami is known for his scholarship. He wrote very, very, very high language analysis of the Bhagavatam. He wrote 3 different commentaries on the Bhagavatam, etc., etc. He wrote the commentary on Brahma Samhita in Sanskrit that Bhaktisiddhanta translated into English, etc. Just an amazing, amazing author. But in addition, he wrote a pastime book called Mahotsav, Madhava Mahotsav. And in Madhava Mahotsav, it's interesting that the story is about Radha becoming crowned the queen of Vrindavan. So why is Radha becoming crowned the queen of Vrindavan called Madhava Mahotsav? Because it's a big festival. It's like half the book is the festival. But the way that the story starts is, it's normal. Radha and Krishna are supposed to meet, but Krishna's late. There's this detail of, the anticipation of meeting, and Radha's feelings, and the associates of Radha, their feelings, in anticipating meeting Krishna, and Krishna's late. And you know what it's like when you're waiting for a bus or waiting for something, and a moment feels like 12 years or more. So she was in anxiety. So she sent one of her dutis, messengers, to go find out, where's Krishna? And when the messenger went out finding out where is Krishna, she ran into Shaibya, one of Chandravali's associates. And there was a really haughty encounter where Shaibya said, "Oh, your Radha is just going to have to wait because Krishna is with Chandravali." Now, wouldn't you like to see? I overheard them say, when Chandravali was asking, "Would you crown me queen of Vrindavan?" And Krishna said, "Yes, Chandra would be an ideal queen for Vrindavan." And so your Radharani is just going to have to wait. So the messenger went back and reported all this to Radharani. And Radharani, flew off the handle and became very upset and went into her Man Leela. And she just left. She left and nobody knew where she went. And when Krishna came late, the gopis were saying, "Get out of here. You're untrustworthy. We know what kind of a person you are. Get out of here." Oh, I was just detained and it took a little longer than I thought, and we know your tricks. Radharani left. She's not even here. And Krishna was upset, very, very sad. Krishna, this is Jiva Goswami writing, Keshava, Krishna, became so upset. He went by a lake and was crying and crying and crying, and they became very worried. The gopis became very worried that Krishna may lose his life. So they called Purnamasi what to do. And Purnamasi got Vrinda. Said, we have to go find Radharani. So they went to go find Radharani. And they found Radharani. This is a long narrative. They found Radharani in a cabin in the middle of a forest. And Radharani's in the cabin by herself saying, "Why do I get like this? I know who Krishna is. I know his tricks. I know his nature. But he has stolen my heart. I've given my heart to him. And I get angry like this. I don't know what overcomes me. What do I do? What do I do?" Purnamasi enters and consoles Radha. Said, "All of this is a big misunderstanding." The Purnamasi says, when Krishna said, "Yes, Chandra should be the person who becomes crowned the Queen of Vrindavan, he meant you. He explained all this to me. And the representative of Chandravali reported it wrongly to your messenger. Please trust me. So Radharani, hearing the words of Purnamasi, who's Yogamaya personified, her heart became pacified. And Purnamasi said, come quickly. Krishna may die. If you don't come quickly, you may lose Krishna. Of course, Krishna doesn't die, but... So Radharani went and pacified Krishna, and Krishna was happy, and then they have this big festival where Purnamasi arranged for different goddesses to come and bestow honors and decorations and ornaments, and it's a long, elaborate description of the big Utsav, big festival, to crown Radha, the Queen of Vrindavan. And Krishna plays his flute, and then so many other musicians come and play their instruments, and it's a big festival in honor of... Now Radharani is officially the Queen of Vrindavan, all by Purnamasi's arrangement. And there's many descriptions. So everyone in Vrindavan would not do whatever they would want to do without first consulting Purnamasi. So she had this super advantage position. She could just orchestrate Krishna's pastimes however she wanted. And her want was to fulfill the desire of Radha and Krishna. All of Vrindavan, according to our Gaudiya picture of the arrangements of the pastimes of Vrindavan, is the Madhurya feature. Even the other rasas, the mothers and fathers and the friends and the servants, they're all with some dimension of wanting the happiness of Krishna, and the greatest happiness of Krishna is the Madhurya rasa. So it's part of their mood. The whole of Vrindavan is part of their mood, orchestrated by Purnamasi. Then this is Nitya Lila. So we say in our Prema Dhwani prayers, Nitya Lila Pravishta. Pravishta means enter into. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya, etc. And honoring the members of our disciplic succession who have Nitya Lila Pravishta, have entered into the pastimes of Krishna by the assistance of Purnamasi. That's her function. So she's certainly one of the mothers that we want to honor on Mother's Day. So I don't know what they're doing in other parts of ISKCON, but we're, in terms of honoring Mother's Day, there's so many things to be said. I'm sure it's all very variegated. Somebody want to add something to glorification of mothers on Mother's Day, or raise some question or comment on this? Yes.
I never knew her, but I always feel that way about Yamuna.
About?
Yamuna.
Yamuna.
You know, just especially reading her biography, you know, of how her position was in our society, and you know, the wonderful mother she was to everybody.
Have you read the entire book?
It's 2 books.
Yeah, have you read the entire?
Jimmy read it to me.
So the whole thing. You ready to go back and hear it again, probably?
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of that book? Is there one?
I don't think I can say any one part of it, but you know, she had just her mood was even though she went through difficulties, she was so dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. And I like her mood cooking. And, she inspires me a lot. I think about her on Mother's Day.
I'll share two things from something from the book that I didn't read, but somebody shared with me. They didn't read it to me, but I'll probably say it wrong. But then something that she personally shared with me. Somewhere, I forget where, it was early morning and there was dew in the grass, and she was following behind Srila Prabhupada thinking, this is the way to live one's life in bhakti. You follow in the footsteps of the spiritual master. So as she was following in the footsteps of Prabhupada, she noticed that there were no footprints in the dew, the grass, the wet grass. So then she asked Prabhupada, could you explain why this is? There's no footprints. That you're walking, but there's no indication where you're walking. And he turned and said, one day you will understand. Something like that?
Yeah, I think it also says all the other people, their footprints were making big prints, but Prabhupada
Yes.
was just
Yeah.
floating along.
Yes. So I didn't have much association with her because just our paths were different. But twice, well, 3 different times, there was just some occasion. There was a japa retreat together. We attended in Ojai, California. And she just sat down when I was taking prasadam and said, we don't know each other. So if you're uncomfortable, please let me know. But otherwise, just, I've heard your name and like to get to know my godbrothers and followers of Prabhupada. So we just started speaking. And because she's Jamuna, she started describing her experiences with Prabhupada. And one of those was in her words, there are 3 phases of Prabhupada's life. The family, the early days, the World Sankirtan Party days, because she was part of that, and I wasn't, so that wasn't my mindset of Prabhupada's life. And then the final days. So in the World Sankirtan Party days, they were going to different locations, traveling by train together. And one place they were there for several days, and it was, those of you that have lived in India, I could just picture in my mind as she was describing this old institutional-like structure with really thick walls and real sterile, feeling inside. And she knew that Prabhupada got up very early and would chant. So she got up really early to chant. Because she's a lady, she sat on the other side of the room, and down this hall, the long, large room, and sat on the other side very quietly, purposely making no noise, but just to be in Prabhupada's presence while Prabhupada was chanting japa early in the morning. And that was going on for some time, and then Prabhupada stopped. So she stopped, and Prabhupada asked, "Who is that?" And she gave her name. And Prabhupada said, "You come here, and you chant here." So she was chanting with Prabhupada, thinking, doesn't get any better than this. And so then it became a regular thing, for some number of days while they were at that place. And then they would have some conversation, and Prabhupada asked her, she asked Prabhupada, what is your favorite bhajan? Because I like bhajans, I like to sing your favorite bhajan. And Prabhupada told her and said, let's sing together, and they sang together. And then Prabhupada asked her, what's your favorite bhajan? Let's sing together, and just like, friends. Although spiritual master just treating her like an equal, or very affectionately, very, very kindly. Then another time there was a Pandal program, and Prabhupada wanted her and one other lady to come join him and sing on the stage. And again, those of you from India can only imagine what this is like. But Prabhupada waited for the train on the platform with garland and sandalwood paste for these two ladies. And trains in India, are notoriously not on time. And sometimes it can be hours and hours. But Prabhupada was there on the platform with garland and sandalwood paste. And when he received them, he then took them to the room, and he had their whole room all set up for them, like, he was their butler or something. Just, treating them with such VIP dignity and regard and affection. She just melted. So, as her life was giving to Srila Prabhupada, as the person running a worldwide spiritual organization was treating her like a VIP, or an affectionate father to his loving daughter. And so, it was really easy to see how she was able to give her life to Prabhupada. The bond of affection between the two was so strong, so thick, so real, so palpable. I heard her tell those stories, I think, twice out of the 3 times that we spoke. So they're very specially cherished. I didn't say, you told me that one, tell me another one. I just let her go. She was pouring out her heart. Mother Jamuna. Anything else?
I've heard that Srila Prabhupada's favorite bhajan was Jai Radha Madhava. Is it correct?
Srila Prabhupada said,
favorite bhajan was Jai Radha Madhava. Is it correct or not?
No.
Not this one?
No.
Which one?
I don't remember what she said.
It's in her book. I can look it up for you.
Oh,
Anything? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Maharaj, she requested Ananta can sing Damodarastakam.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Why Damodarastakam, may I ask?
I don't know, she felt you showed Yashoda
Damodar Leela, we talked about Damodar Leela.
Do we have the words for everybody?
Yes, we can show it on.
We can project it on the screen?
Yeah. No, he's guitar is okay, that's fine.
Pretty interesting finale.
Yes, sir. Writing down, I think. It'll be nice.